Ooh. Whoop that trick, Whoop that trick, Whoop that trick, Pedro Neto, let's talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the other side of the coin. And welcome to your latest Chelsea video on this channel. We definitely need to talk about Pedro Neto, a player that I didn't delve deep enough in the post-match reaction. There was actually a lot to say about Pedro Neto, but I was more focusing on the fact that we got 3 points, the fact that Cole Palmer got, a hat trick. I like to delve on the positives as opposed to, the glaringly massive negative that was going on with Pedro Neto. Now, it gives us an opportunity to really talk about this post-match. I'm not massively, someone who's prominent on Instagram, but people are telling me, and you guys can let me know in the comment section whether this is true or not, but there's a lot of accounts on X that are posting this message. Pedro Neto has removed Chelsea from his bio. Let's have a quick, big look at this. Pedro Neto, as you can see, I don't even recall, to be honest. I don't remember how his previous bio looked like, but people are saying that he's removed everything that is Chelsea related. As you can see there's no Chelsea related, information or pictures or anything like that. Obviously, no Chelsea on his bio. He's a Chelsea player. Pedro Neto has removed, Chelsea from his bio. This is the news that's been circulating around. Let's just quickly also have a look at a few of the other stuff before I give my opinion on it. Pedro Neto has removed Chelsea from his Instagram bio. Another individual account on X has mentioned this. Honestly, I won't lose any sleep over it. He clearly wants to leave. He's acting just like Noni Madueke, who got scared when Esteval Williams' huge talent showed up and knew he couldn't compete. Now, look, I don't know about Pedro Neto really wanting to leave, but what I do know is the performances haven't been good enough. And that's clear. That is very much evident. Now, let's delve deep into this, right? For me, Pedro Neto, I still like him. Maybe I'm just a sucker for players that work hard, but ultimately, it's not just about working hard off the ball, doing the dirty stuff, tracking back, winning your duels. Obviously, all of that is so important, so crucial. But what do you do on the ball? Chelsea Football Club, we come up against teams, lesser teams in this run that we've had recently. We've come up against teams that we should be winning. And generally with these teams, you're going to see the ball a lot more. So what do you do on the ball, Pedro Neto? There's a stat that's going around, and it's a scary stat against, and it's, to be honest, it was all there for us to see. Against Wolves, it was so evident. When it came to the final third decision making, there was the one time he made a really good decision, which led to the goal of Cole Palmer. That was Cole Palmer's hat trick, where he won the ball in midfield. Then he immediately set off and released Cucurella. I think it might have been Enzo Fernandez. He released Enzo Fernandez, and then Enzo Fernandez found Cucurella with a cutback, Cole Palmer with a goal. That was probably the only time Pedro Neto, he looked very, very good on the ball. However, there's been several times he had the ball and he made very, very bad decisions, poor decisions. Our players probably could have scored a lot more in the first half. Hell, Cole Palmer himself. There was another moment where Pedro Neto was through. Counterattacks, we've got to make the counterattacks count. There was another situation where Pedro Neto was through. Cole Palmer made a lovely run, but Pedro Neto could not get a pass through to him. And there were several instances. The stat that I was alluding to, apparently Pedro Neto has had 8 crosses against Wolves and 0 successful crosses out of that. For some reason, he's opting not to play on the left side. He wants to play on the right. There's so much more he can give, but for some reason, this player is incapable. I find it hard to believe, and I find it very difficult to say this, that he's incapable, because he shows every now and then that he has that talent in him. He's a good shooter. We've seen him score bangers, screamers when he was at Wolves and even at Chelsea. Most notably, the goal against Arsenal. And there was other few goals here and there. There was lovely shots. Shooting technique is good, and I don't understand why he doesn't shoot more. He gets the luxury to play from the right to cut in. And for some reason, his crossing is not good enough. Similar, if you guys remember, from Hakim Ziyech used to drift from right to left and then open his body up and find those crosses. At least with Ziyech, he'd actually find those crosses nicely. It's just no one was at the end of it. With Pedro Neto, he sometimes finds it difficult to even get past the first man, let alone finding a top-notch delivery. Every now and then he drops a really good cross, but predominantly it's not good enough. His passing, his final third footballing IQ, all of this lacks. Yes, I appreciate everything he does off the ball. He works tremendously hard. And I think this is why the managers like him. But on the ball, I have to say, you're lacking big time. And someone who likes Pedro Neto a lot, moving forward, if we're thinking about winning the Premier League, which we should be thinking about, we need players that are going to be far more decisive in those positions, because Pedro Neto gets himself into really, really good positions. We need more. Yes, he's scored goals. Yes, he has created goals, assisted here and there. But the output needs to be a lot more. A lot more. For us to do something substantial, our wingers, it's a problem. It's a huge problem, our wingers. And this is a very, very fantastic, tweet from Max. A win is a win. And Chelsea need to keep those up in February with Leeds and Burnley next. But there has to be major concerns around these wing options and the lack of number 6 depth. Pedro Neto had 0 out of 8 accurate crosses and missed a great chance. By the way, huge chance he missed right at the end. Lovely cross from Enzo Fernandez in the header. Oh, wow. While Garnacho had another poor cameo where he was reluctant to run at any defenders. Caicedo and Enzo have played a ridiculous amount of 90 minutes, and now Andrey looks to have some sort of issue. Look, all I'm going to say for Pedro Neto, there's a lot of things that's going to happen in the summer window. I don't know who's going to leave and who's going to come in, but you best believe some players that play on a regular basis will need to leave. And they will leave for us to bring in new players. Well, Quenda is one who's coming through. So Pedro Neto already, your work's cut out. If anything, you'll probably need to pack up your bags, because Esteval Willian next season will play a lot more minutes. Quenda is coming through. This guy's played Champions League. He plays for Sporting. We need better. We need better than Pedro Neto. And I feel with his latest shenanigan on social media with Instagram bio, Chelsea being removed from his Instagram bio, I don't pay too much attention to these sort of things, but these things are a start of, it's time for me to move on from Chelsea. Look, if he stayed, I don't think he's a bad option to have as a squad player. Does he want to be a squad player? I don't know. I just get the feeling that maybe in the summer window coming up, Saudis might be interested and he'll look to get a big paycheck. He's got the World Cup. He'll enjoy the World Cup. Portugal are one of the favorites as well, so they'll try their level best to win the World Cup. And then after that, I think that's it. I think he'll look for his options and he'll try and make money, and Saudis will throw money. And that's beautiful for us. I hope we recuperate some of that transfer money that we paid for him, 60 million odd, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. But the bottom line is Pedro Neto is simply not good enough in terms of production. As I said, I think as a squad player, he brings a lot of value, works his backside off. But as an out-and-out winger that plays on a regular basis, and it seems like he trains well because the managers, they seem to rate him. They seem to start him. but it's no good if you can't bring the production. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts. I think Pedro Neto, this is the start of his departure from Chelsea Football Club. And I think not many of us can complain about it. Even if we like him, like I do. It's just been a bit underwhelming altogether. At least he can hold his head high and look at his Chelsea time, that it's been somewhat successful. Yeah, Club World Cup champion, Conference League champion. Hopefully we make something out of it this season. We'll see what we can win, and then it'll be time to go. It'll be time to go, and I don't think anyone can really complain about it. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts. What do you think? Do you pay too much attention to the online shenanigans? Removing Chelsea from your bio. Yeah. Perhaps he's, copying the criticism. Perhaps he's copying some abuse, which is not right on social media. And there are a lot of people on social media that are consistently talking down on Pedro Neto. That I don't appreciate, but I do understand the frustration that player needs to deliver a lot more. And maybe Pedro Neto is starting to realize that. And maybe Pedro Neto is thinking, yeah, maybe it's time to move on. Problem is, we're not going to bring someone of the highest caliber. We're just going to look at another kid. That is the problem. And when someone tells me that is the possibility, I feel like saying, might as well just keep Pedro Neto. At least he's an experienced member. But in all essence, the Chelsea that we knew once upon a time, Pedro Neto would have been merely a bench player. It would have been a rotational player. And there would have been someone far more supreme to start. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts. Hype. Very important that you hype the video. Smash the like button if you're here for the first time. Subscribe. Hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. Until next time, take care. See ya.